It's on? Yep, that's on. All right, here we go. And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a comedy show of spite and the Streisand effect because the Streisand effect is only just slightly beaten out by the great God Murphy. And if you don't believe me, try pissing off the great God Murphy sometime. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. It's Shujin. Hi. I'll explain why I was thinking about the great God Murphy in a second. From the Midwest of the U.S., where apparently red habits are all in the rage these days, Brigid Fitch. Hi.
Hi.
And right now, that's all of us for the moment. UnrenownedTech is taking a week off. He's otherwise busy. Joseph, it might be kind of he was saying that he was going to be kind of busy with work and whatnot. So the idea of him just saying, you know what, no, I'm staying asleep. Yeah, I would totally get that. So, is what it is. Unfortunately, we don't have very many other people that were interested in joining us. So, for everybody that's out there that thinks they would like to, be part of the show, if you can stand being awake with us long enough, feel free to let us know. Join us over on Discord and, engage, chat with us. Let us know what you think. And who knows, maybe you too could be pressed into service if your release from prison is put through for that. Okay, so the whole thing with the great God Murphy, by the way, really quick, is that one of the things that I have come up on my YouTube watch list every once in a while is something called Just Rolled In. It's a collection of real quick videos from car mechanics, usually car mechanics. Yeah, there was a, I think it was a BMW. Pretty sure it was BMW that guy bought as a complete junker, just as a I just want to fix it up kind of thing, just to play around with. They opened the engine block. It looked like it was chocolate pudding in the
Ew.
inside of the of the engine block, as opposed to liquid gold, which would be oil. It was oil at one time.
Ew.
It most assuredly was not anymore. So the guy basically said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to buy a new engine because
Yeah.
screw that noise. Anyway, so yeah, the great God Murphy strikes again. Like I said, if you'd like to join us some week, and you don't necessarily want to be on air, you can always kind of join us, over in the chat over there because that's always available while we're recording. Stephanie, good morning. Hope that things are doing relatively well your way. Apparently, they were. I'll answer that in a second. And Felix, you made it. Hi, hon. Yeah, the Felix had asked before we got started how I was doing, or I don't know if that was, forgive me, the royal you that you were asking. But as far as for me, I may have misspelt it, but meant amends. Part of that's got to do with the opening for this week, so I'll get to that momentarily. But just I'm I'm here. I'm not doing great. I'm trying really hard. I've got the small problem of that there are a lot of things that I would really like to do, and is it called executive dysfunction? Because there are so many things where it's just like I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, but there's just so many things that I'm just not going to be able to get to enough of them well enough. So why even try? I mean, is that a is does it like sound like a thing? because
Yeah.
that's kind of part of the. Because one of the things, believe it or not, is I would like to start my own business because I know what I would like to be able to do, but I don't know how well it would work. I would like to build servers, kind of the same way like what I built for myself. It doesn't have to be, thousands and thousands of dollars. It just has to be okay. You're upgrading your computer and you're getting a new one. Cool. Bring me your old one. Let's set you up with new stuff and you'll have yourself a home server for your own media, and the investment that you put into your old computer is still good. So there you go. So long as there's no, magic blue smoke coming out of it.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that.
Yeah, the downside is, of course, I'm looking at it all. I'm just like, well, I've done it a grand whopping 2 times. I built my server. I built my friend's server. What else have I done? I don't know. So it's it's one of those things. I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, and again, Stephanie's, one thing at a time does work. Write a list, stick a pin in it, pick the first thing. Yeah, you know what? The problem becomes that one is self-defeating for me because it's like, what should the organizational list be? What goes to the top of the depth chart, and what goes to the bottom? And well, what if I don't really feel like doing that first one, and I kind of get it's real work and a chore, and I'm just going to move down to the next one, and then, well, I feel like a failure because I didn't do the first one. You see where this spirals out of control really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. It sucks to be inside my head sometimes.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I have a lot of suckage up in my head.
Okay, you remember what I said that I was not going to be doing during the middle of the show?
Uh-huh.
Lines like that are making it really difficult on me now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You weren't, but you kind of are now. And the best part about it is, we're the only two that actually know what happened.
We're talking about.
It works out good that way.
It's an inside joke.
It is an inside joke. And so that you folks can have a little bit of fun, we were talking about if random things popped up on my screen, like if I was trying to follow links, for example, from our chat and opening up, news articles and whatnot in the background in Chrome, and if there was an advertisement that played any kind of sound whatsoever, it won't go through our call to each other, but it'll go out there on YouTube and then recorded, and then it'll be there for posterity, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. And even if I was recording the show locally, I would still run into the same problem because it would be recorded on my side too. Damn it. And folks, this is why you do not go looking up porn websites in the middle of your podcast recording. Not that anybody has ever done that. I know full well I know I've heard somebody comment about how they had done that accidentally and had to do an oopsie edit, but we would never do that because I won't do that. That would be wrong.
Well, I think we do have to let people know that this is a thing amongst any podcasters in general. Podcasters don't wear pants.
Right. Of course.
It's true.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sure.
I'm wearing pajama bottoms at the moment. Or for up in Washington State, pajama. But, tomato, tomato.
Okay. I'm wearing a 3-piece suit, a t-shirt and socks.
I do have fuzzy socks on,
I
and
don't
they've got
have.
little kitty faces on them. They're
I don't
really
have. I don't.
cute.
I don't have any fun. I. I. I don't remember where it was. I think it was at BJ's Wholesale. A couple of years ago, they had wherever it was. They had these big wool socks, but they were kind of like sock boots kind of
Mhm.
things where slippers, I should say. So they had like little rubber treads on the bottoms of them, and
Yeah.
I got a set for myself and my kid. They don't fit me. I got the
Oh.
biggest ones and they didn't fit my feet and legs. And the worst part about it is my wife had the biggest calves. So I know for well they would have fit on her feet, they would have gone up her ankles, and they would have gotten partway up her calf, and it would have started cutting off blood supply. You know?
Yuck.
So yeah, it's one of those things. Oh yeah, and what am I drinking tonight? Orange juice.
I'm
Um,
having plain water. Doesn't that sound exciting?
could have been Tang. Could have been.
I don't have any tang.
Uh,
Sounds like a personal problem, right?
no, no, no. Most people don't. You know what? It so long as it's not Flavor Aid, it's fine.
Yeah, this is just plain old water.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Felix is saying, "Hey, Shu, stand up." No, no, and I'll tell you why. Because
Because he's
even
not wearing pants.
worse than that, even if I did, the camera is not wide angle enough to be able to pan down far enough. And I'm not grabbing that thing because it's going to make everybody, have a vertigo and stuff. And we don't. If you're going to bukkake your monitor, we want it to be because you were trying to hold in a laugh while drinking. We don't want you to be getting sick and spewing all over stuff. We do have standards here. Not many, but we've got a couple. So
And we don't want to have to owe you a new keyboard.
exactly. And now Felix is disappointed. You know what? Oh well.
Oh,
So it'll be what it'll be. So how about I get things rolling, and we'll yeah, somehow or other, I don't think anything's going to be changing, unfortunately, for the night. But be that as it may. So let me get you rolling over here with the 5-minute freestyle, which starts right now. One, I'm pretty sure I've used this name for it before. One is the loneliest number. It's a song, famous song, 60. Oh, balls, 68, maybe. There, of course, is always an ulterior motive whenever I use these titles. Saturdays are like one of the few days that I actually go out of my house, and that's, I was going to say it's a problem, but it's not from the problem that you might otherwise think. The problem is that I don't get out very much, and that actually is a bit of a problem, but that's wrapped into a whole bunch of other things. Saturdays, I get together with a couple of friends. I drive where I am into actual Buffalo, which for me is, like a half an hour drive. Most of which is taken up with local 45 mile an hour, maybe, traffic. So, but, so it's myself, a now married couple, and one of our common friends. And we all met through the same workplace. We'd all worked at the same place, including my wife. So every once in a while, we commiserate about what it was like working at hell. But we've all known each other for quite a long time. Back when my wife was working for Microsoft Replacement Parts, inbound telephone sales, and yes, You could order a 10-pack of replacement mouse balls. And no, it was never funny whenever anybody laughed about it. Until they got off the call, and then it was absolutely hysterical. But in this case, one means two of those same friends, the married couple, where we go to their house, and we've played games, played board games, a lot of board games, sometimes video games, watch movies, TV shows, whatever. We get together, have dinner. They rolled a 1. After we visited last weekend, they rolled a 1 on their Constitution check. They got C19. Not happy about this. Not at all happy about this. As you can probably imagine. They're vaccinated, boosted up, the whole thing. They don't get out very often. But, was feeling lethargic and whatnot, so they did a test. Yeah. So it was just the husband. And then because, they live together, it was inevitable, unfortunately. So they both got hit. Again, kind of to be expected. But it sucks, man. It really does. Working so hard, trying to do everything right, and still getting hit with this damn thing. I'm personally doing the best that I can. To say that I live a hermit's life is not too far from the truth right now. I don't care when I go out for shopping, which don't even get me started on that for today. I've still got a cloth mask. Yeah, it's not an N95, but it's at least a something. And yeah, I'm gonna wear it. Why? Because I'm vaxxed. I'm boosted. I should probably really see about whatever the most recent booster is and check to see what I've got. But we saw the genetic statistics about what's going on with the different influenza viruses, because that keeps coming around every year, and there are different variations on it. And there are some of them that have literally died out because people kept away from each other and masked up. I don't want this thing to be endemic. This thing's going to cause who only knows. Please, when we tell you at the end of the shows, please stay safe, we really do mean it. Please do stay safe. This episode 424 on the docket. Blasphemy. International Blasphemy Day. Just happened the other day ago, as of the time of this recording. So, and as I put into the, into the announcement, I'm going to be damned if we're going to pass up an opportunity, because blasphemy is a necessary, well, I'm not even going to call it evil. It is a necessary part of functional society, whether people like it or not. It just is. And I think we should make sure that we utilize it to the best of our abilities, because, well, isn't that really what we should be doing? Even if it's going to ruffle a couple of feathers. Probably especially because it's going to ruffle a couple of feathers. So we're going to do that. We're going to touch on a couple of pieces, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to tell you why not only is blasphemy a good thing, it's a necessary thing. So let's deal with that. However, before we go ahead and do that, it is time for the horrible scopes. And you see, I got a new logo sort of to put up on the screen for it. I have to try to find a way. I've never tinkered around properly with OBS, So I need to try to find a way of like, I need to build a logo or something to, fade in. Eventually, one of these days, I'll figure it out. But today is not that day, especially not 7 minutes before air. So, you get the idea. So otherwise, let's go ahead and do this. Those of you that know your astrological sign, cool. Those of you that don't, I don't really care. You can roll a d12 or 2d6. That's not really going to get you what you want, but I mean, nobody cares anyway about these, so don't even worry about it. Let me get you rolling. Aries, it's Spirit Halloween season again. Have you decided what costume you want yet? You were all sure what you wanted at the end of Halloween last year, but you didn't write it down, did you? Okay, look. You could find a sexy anything, but it's supposed to be all about being something you're not. Don't bother with those ideas and find something actually scary, like sexy bard. This week, just remember, if you aren't carrying a purple velvet sack, you're doing it wrong.
And that's true.
Yes, and as was pointed out, if you are not carrying a purple velvet sack, but you're attached to one, see your doctor.
And if you aren't carrying one and you're carrying dice, you're a poser. Taurus, if you love someone, every day is Valentine's Day. You don't need an excuse to splurge on candy or flowers or a 14-slice cheesecake sampler set. It's only about $20, so if you go through a self-checkout line, you don't even have to look the cashier in the face and admit that you're all alone this week. Still, this week, buy a fish to keep you company, for crying out loud.
But not a beta.
What? Those are fun.
No, they're... Did you ever hear the story about the beta that okay, at the time, my girlfriend's, my wife's, college roommate had?
No.
Okay, real quick then. Back in college, my then girlfriend, eventual wife, her roommate at college had a beta fish. The beta fish's name was, and I kid you not, the name of the fish was Bitch. Because this bitch, one time, well, actually several times, jumped out of its container, managed to end up on the floor. The college rooms on campus, in the dorms, it had a propensity for being very dry because the heating system was on almost constantly during the fall, in winter, and early spring. So it was dry. And when you have a very dry room, you inevitably have dust bunnies galore. This thing wrapped itself in dust bunnies on several occasions, was found, put back into its container, and had done that on several occasions. Because it had a bad attitude. It just had a bad attitude. It just had a bad attitude.
Mine never did anything like that. It was just fun to stick a mirror in front of it and get it all psyched up, and it would want to fight the mirror.
And you laugh at this one being called Bitch.
Oh, mine's name was Glitch. And that was because that's the sound that like a beer makes with a pop top when you open it. Well, it is. Yeah, the ones that used to have the pull tabs. They would go glitch.
Assuming that the entire pull tab came off and you didn't have to get a pair of needle nose.
Yeah.
Gemini? We're taught a lot of silly things when we're children. Thunder isn't scary, it's just angels bowling in the sky. It's got to be one of the silliest ones I was ever taught. The only people who do bowling outside are Italians, and only when the weather's good, and it's called bocce. Okay, so bocce is like horseshoes, except without horseshoes and a lot more gesticulation. What's this got to do with anything? Nothing, really. But you didn't pay anything for the horrible scopes this week, did you? You got what you paid for. Don't think we haven't noticed.
Tightwads. Cancer Moonchild. Thanksgiving is coming up. You better get ready for it now. Yes, Canadian Thanksgiving. It's a hell of a lot better than the Yank version. The weather's still pretty okay. There's no mad rush to start buying things. And if you intentionally cross 3 provinces to get away from your family, chances are they aren't going to visit. Now get your turkey brined and plan for one hell of a dinner. Oh, and are you rooting for the underdog Ottawa Red Blacks or against the French language mangling frog leg munching surrender toads known as the Québécois Montréal Alouettes?
I had fun making sure that Dalan got to read that one last night. We had a long discussion about the Canadian Football League. One of the things that differentiates the Canadian Football League away from the American football leagues, they use meters instead of yards. Thank you. Thank you very much. Leo, time to learn something about Herman Munster and his most famous actor, of which there have been several over the years, Fred Gwynne. Fred was 6'5" tall on his own. He's a big drink of water. We figured it out. That puts him about 3 inches taller than Dalan, and Dalan's a big guy. And the shoes he wore added roughly another 4 inches. So in the original show, Herman's driver's license gives his, yes, people actually checked on this stuff. His driver's license gives his height as 7'6" tall, meaning Gwyn was still 9 inches shorter than what he should have actually looked. And with Yvonne DiCarlo as Lily at 5'4", oh, just let the size of that marital bed roll around in your head for a while. Have fun with that one.
Put her on top and spin her.
That's what the noose is there for.
Virgo. This week is going to defy explanation, so stop making sense. On some inexpensive and cheesy autumn decorations, or save up and invest in some fresh pressed apple cider. Get about 5 gallons worth, and you can ferment it into hard cider in a couple of months. Just be careful to not use a big glass vat for your first time. If it shatters, you're going to have a really bad week cleaning that up.
It's true. Those big 5-gallon glass, you know, with the jug handle. Okay, my grandfather, I don't remember what brand it was, but he used to get the 1-gallon wine, glass jug with a trigger grip on it. Yeah, and I always thought it was adorable. I always loved it, even as a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But these 5. The thing of it is, though, I think about them and I'm just like, the best thing to do with these, once it's properly fermented, you take it to one of those old style office coolers and put it on the office cooler so that you can always have either cold or hot hard cider on tap anytime you want it.
That's a cool idea.
It is. Up until there's an explosion of stuff dribbling all over the place because, it starts outgassing again. And
Yeah.
yeah, good luck cleaning that up. Libra, in the 1970s, one of the most memorable cartoon series took off. Space Battleship Yamato. Properly pronounced, it's actually Uchu Senkan Yamato, which, of course, is the Japanese version. In English, we knew it as Star Blazers. The goal was to visit and return from the planet Iskandar 148,000 light years away in the Large Magellanic Cloud. This is one of the great scientifically accurate items in cartoons, since the Large Magellanic Cloud is about 158,200 light years away. So imagine being on this ship, fighting off enemies in space, and the entire underside of your ship has no armaments whatsoever. How'd that ship survive week after week? 3 words. Rule of cool.
Scorpio. Saturday morning cartoons from the 1980s were, for the most part, crap.
It's true.
Yep. Very true story. No matter how you dress them up, they were really for selling toys. If you go back and rewatch any of them, you'll see what we mean. The Centurions? How many tiny parts got lost and needed to be replaced? Ditto all the Star Wars and Star Trek action figures. And as for plot, really? Just try to get this phrase out of your head. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Dalan and I both agreed we don't have the pipes to properly pull that off. I mean, it's either Ted Baxter's voice or nobody. I mean, it just is what it is. God, how the hell do you explain to somebody? I mean,
They didn't watch Super Friends. I
no.
mean,
It's just how do you explain to an actual actor that we want your voice to be on a cartoon series, and one of the things that you're going to be saying very often is going to be, meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice. I mean, how do you?
I have no idea. That
was-
would be a tough one to explain.
It was a different time, I guess. Sagittarius, we're going to gift you an expression that will help you scare any musically inclined people. Just remember, you won't be able to explain it to non-musicians and casual players, but if you know that one person who loves to say they actually understand music, lean in close and whisper this in their ear. The key of F flat minor. Be sure you know the quickest exit and have a getaway driver. Brigid, I'm assuming that you are probably going to be trying to inquire about that a little bit later.
I probably will.
I will.
You're diabolical. I already know.
Yeah.
You're very diabolical.
Yeah.
Yep. Capricorn. Here's another musical item to pass along. 2 highly popular songs released just a little over a year apart prominently featured violins. Dust in the Wind in 1978.
Great song.
And, Kansas is ace. And The Devil Went Down to Georgia in 1979.
Both versions, by the way. Well, there were 2 versions. One was, okay, the one where they said son of a bitch was on air.
That one.
It was on airplay until people got upset, and then the FCC said, no, do the other
You have
version.
to change it to son of a gun. Yep.
Which they did.
Well, both were recorded in Nashville. Have fun reconciling the idea that 2 so very different songs grew out of the same area and time of musical history. Or don't. it's not like you ever really listen to what we tell you anyway. You do? Really? Now? What was last week's scope about then? Yeah, that's what we thought.
And these people, week after week, we what's the expression? Pearls before swines. They just chew them out of the. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. But no, seriously, Dust in the Wind. Oh my God, that's such a beautiful song. I love it.
Yeah, I'll have to, after the show, I will have to share a cover of it with you that I don't know the singer's name. It's a woman, but Brian May is playing the acoustic guitar part to it.
Oh,
A lovely cover.
dude, Dr. Brian May.
Yes.
I love that.
I will find
Oh,
that for you
okay.
because I think you would like it.
Very cool. Aquarius, this week, all the stars will align in your favor. The best flavors of ice cream will be on sale. All the best parking spot will be available for you. And all the store employees will be on their best behavior for you. No, it's no trick. Seriously, enjoy the week. You've earned it. I keep getting accused of really picking on Aquarius every week, and I really don't mean to. So,
I want this one. I'm
you
not an Aquarius, but I want that horoscope. I want that week.
know what? Just copy and paste it for yourself. It's not really going to matter. Don't worry about it.
Pisces, this week be on your best guard. Word slipped that you're connected to the underworld and the authorities are sniffing a little too close for comfort. How about taking a long drive out west in a two-boat convertible from the mid-60s? Just to get out of town for a little while. We'll cover for you.
And those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, I don't know what to tell you. You're weird, but it's all good.
You
If
do you.
Yeah, if you'd like to suggest a theme or ask for a nicer or nastier one for yourself or someone else, you want to bribe me, all you got to do is just ask. I mean, vanity goes a long way for me. But I'll have these posted online at the end of the week when I start working on the next ones. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Yes, I use Tumblr for this mostly. It's pretty much the only thing I use it for this kind of thing. Now, I want to say something, by the way, about this one for Pisces. My father, who was a cop for a long time, somebody that he knew, reminding you that he lived in Brooklyn almost all his life. Well, until I was born and my next youngest brother was born. Lived in Brooklyn. We moved out to Long Island anyway. So word about who's connected and who isn't. This is where you learn that anybody that says they're connected, they're not connected, because nobody that's connected will ever tell you, because you don't do that. You just don't. Well, there was one guy that he knew who it was kind of understood that he was connected. I don't remember exactly how, but he actually drove out in the desert, out in the American Southwest. Like I don't remember exactly where he was, in a big ass tuna boat. Just out there on a drive. Got a speeding ticket in this big ass tuna boat Cadillac, and he went in to contest the speeding ticket, and judge is just like, so you're trying to tell me that the speeding ticket's wrong, Your Honor? That's correct. How? Your Honor, I was driving oh God, I don't even remember what it was. Late, it would have been like a roughly 25-year-old caddy, So, you know, like a late 60s, early 70s thing at that point. And
About.
he was clocked at like a buck 20 plus.
Oh my goodness.
And the guy's just like, Your Honor, seriously, do you really think that I could get a car like that up to that speed? There's no way. I don't remember if he was successful in convincing the judge, but just the audacity of trying to say, do you really expect me to push 3,000 pounds of steel and metal through the air, in the desert, in the heat, hoping to God that the tires don't melt off at 120 plus miles per hour? Are you kidding me? I don't know if it went over, but I just love the absolute audacity of it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you would look at that and say, there's no way it could do that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that it did it anyway.
He probably did. Now, did he get out of the ticket or not?
You know, it's been so many years. I have no idea. That's the only part of the story that I remember. Well, the only other story I know is that when my mom and her sister were like young, um, one of the one of our family was connected. Um, oh God, her aunt's husband, right, was running numbers in Brooklyn back in the day. And one of the things that, you know, would happen, reminding you that this was, you know, late 40s, early 50s, in Brooklyn, you know, the Italian parts of Brooklyn, you know, her and her sister as kids and whatnot, they were given chicken feet to play with from the delis because, you know, they okay, it's all good. Chop them off, and you know you get to play with them, and you'd find the right tendons, and you'd pull, and they'd contract and grip each other. Okay, kind of creepy, but what was funny about it was that I don't remember what his name was, but they were not supposed to be going into bars and whatnot. But of course, in order to run the numbers, you got to bring them into these places. So gave them each, I think it was like, 50 cents or something like that. Don't tell my wife what's going on. Okay. And, a little bit later, they got back. They've got ice cream. They had themselves a great time. Okay, cool. Everything's good. Did he take you to a bar? No. Good. Here's another 50. Here's 50 cents. You just keep track of this. Okay. So every day that they ended up doing this whole shenanigans things, they learned real early how to play the both sides of the coin, if you will. So they learned how to do all this stuff. I found it absolutely funny as hell when I heard about this, but up until the point where it was the playing with chicken feet as freshly cut. What? Ma.
You say I've ever done that?
Well, we wouldn't have because I mean, the immigrant population, New York City. Well, everybody's got a different opinion of what New York City is. Some people say it's Manhattan. Some people say it's Manhattan and Brooklyn and Queens. And I'm not going to get into. It's anywhere you could potentially see the Statue of Liberty if you went up high enough. All right, that's what it comes down to. God, I miss seeing that. But then again, there's a lot of things that I miss. I miss a skyline that I grew up with, but that's a whole other thing for later. So let's deal with the blasphemy thing. What is blasphemy? It's when your God's feelings get hurt because your fifis got hurt, because you think your God's fifis got hurt, because your fifis got hurt. That's basically what it comes down to. It's I mean, leaving the Whovians out of the equation and everything, blasphemy is just, you talk bad about somebody's God.
And they get bent out of shape.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the worst part about it is that we talk shit about the great God Murphy every time. And nobody bats an eye at that one, because everybody knows that the shit that we talk about the great God Murphy, it's pretty much accurate, though. I mean, really?
Yeah.
Great God Murphy's a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, this is where it gets to be funny, because there are certain things that you can say about different gods, and not only are you going to piss off people, but it's going to be worse because they can't argue with it. And this is one of the reasons why I wish Heretic Woman was still around with us. For instance, we could get away with saying things like Muhammad was probably a pedophile and a child rapist. Actually, it's kind of hard to be one without the other.
Yeah. Although if they are married, I guess that implies consent, but it's still gross. Maybe.
That's
I'm being generous.
Yeah. And the other piece of it was, I just remembered, it is possible to be a pedophile without being a child molester.
Yep.
But it is almost impossible to be a child molester and not be a pedophile. See, this is one of those things where sooner or later somebody's going to hear this and they're just going to be like, well, Martin. Okay, the technical aspect of being a pedophile is someone who has desires for people who have an apparent younger looking age. There are also different stages of, and the different age brackets, and there's different technical terms for it. So, for instance, those who found Princess Jasmine very attractive, and I would be one of them, my wife also at the time, so don't give me shit. You want to go ahead and you want to bad talk my wife, go right ahead. She's just going to give you a deaf ear. She was, wait, 15, 16? Oh, balls, I forgot what she was. Just turned 16? Just turned 16, I think is what it was. So, so, you gotta be real careful about these things. So, so the technical terminology, you see, is where I was going here. Kind of the same way that we say the technical terminology of that's just a theory really doesn't match up with the colloquialism.
Yeah.
But I digress just a little bit. Stephanie is right. If you brainwash the child thoroughly enough, they will accept the assault as normal.
Yeah.
Now, there's a piece about this that is also very non-sexual, which we know full well, religious indoctrination kind of qualifies under that too. Sunday school, catechism, in the Catholics, because remember, I was raised Catholic, so catechism is the technical term for teaching the kids Sunday school ism stuff, which I think it was just an excuse to get the kids away from the rest of everybody else that's praying, so they don't kick the pews because they're bored. Do we stand up now? Do we sit down now? Do we stand up now? Do we kneel down? Do we stand up? What do we do? It's boring. The worst thing about being Catholic is the whole, do I stand up? Do I sit down? I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. I'll just follow somebody else. Be that
Sounds
as it
like calisthenics to me.
may. It would be, except there's a good 5 minutes between, well, usually like about 5 minutes between whichever one you're going to do next.
Yeah, I've gone to mass a couple of times, so
It sucks, man, because it's like, what the hell is the point? I whatever.
walk
Is
in and genuflect and cross yourself, but then go sit and kneel on the little prayer bench thing and all that. Yep.
Yeah, the only crossing I want to do for myself anymore is right over left Wakanda forever. At this point, I know, it's a stupid sci-fi thing, but grand scheme of things, that's kind of where it takes me right now. Anyway,
If you
uh
really want to piss off some evangelicals, use Jesus's middle name.
um, hold on, hold on. I'm gonna use my big F.
Yep, it's that one.
Would it be Jesus motherfucking Christ?
Yep.
I'm glad I asked
Or
because I can't say that expression without hearing Dave motherfucking Foda in my
oh
head.
no, yep.
And by the way, Dave, if you're watching, you're probably not. Piss off. You should really show up with us every once in a while. That'd be really nice. We miss you,
Yeah, we do.
and we continuously hope that you're doing well and growing hair.
But one of my favorite, I'm still not sure how to pronounce it. I call it a GIF. I've been told it's a GIF, whatever. Yeah. But the favorite one that I have, I stole from a Farker on the Fark forums. But it's tap, what is it? It's tap dancing Jesus on a cracker. And it's hilarious.
I think the closest version I've heard of that was Jesus tap dancing Christ on a cracker. I think I think
Something like
that's
that.
I think that's usually the one that I've heard that way, which I don't usually hear that one very often. So take it with a
And
grain of
the
salt.
Yeah, and the gift that I have of that, he looks a lot like Republican Jesus in a business suit, and he's tap dancing on a saltine.
Sounds about right.
I love it. But if you want to get an evangelical pissed, especially around Easter, I've got a whole set of memes that I used to troll people with. My favorite one is the one that has Papa Fresh dough on there that says he is risen.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that one up because there was on Facebook. I know, I am one of those Facebook people. I will never call it Meta because there's another company that
It's
already had
not
that name.
meta. It's
It's not.
Facebook.
It's Facebook. When I had put out, however many years ago it is now, for Easter, my big atheist declaration. Why I did it, I don't even know anymore. I just did. I wasn't attacking anyone. I wasn't calling anyone out. I wasn't calling any particular religion out. My thing was, if I remember the post, I basically said that. God, I'm trying to remember how I worded it. It was something along the lines of, I would never, I would never hate my children so badly that I would throw them in the basement forever for questioning me.
Right.
Something to that effect. And the one son of a bitch from high school. Because remember, in high school, we've all got that one guy.
Mm-hmm.
He went ahead and he took massive umbrage at the whole thing. This was also the same one that had his radio show, his podcast, whatever the hell it was. I think it was a podcast for whatever at the time. He was the one that had gone ahead, and one of the things that he ended off with was one of his typity things to me was that he was going to do something that I couldn't, which was to kiss and go to sleep with his wife that night. Reminding you.
What a tosser.
It's the nicest thing anybody could have said about him in the very longest time. But, I didn't bring him into it. He decided to insert himself. And that's exactly the kind of thing. He considered it hurting the fifis of the god. You grew up same as me. You went to the same churches as me. You went through the Catholic stuff. You got communion. You the whole thing. How could you be like this? It's just like, dude, I'm doing me. I didn't call you out. I didn't. Whatever. What's the problem? So yeah, he was the one that eventually, when I kind of semi-vague booked what ended up happening, because it was a big thing. It was a big thing. And explained part of the reason why I was unhappy. I was not angry. I was not sad. I'm very much well past this person. And I vague book explained what was said. There were a couple of people who were also on Facebook with me, who were friends with me, who knew me, back in high school, because maybe not necessarily liked, so to speak, but when they asked who was it, or was it blah, and I confirmed, they were just like, you know what? Yeah, that. What was said, yeah, I kind of figured that's exactly who it was. I knew who it was, that kind of thing. And this
How
is
very Christian of him.
Oh, very little of him was. Very little of him was. He was one of the most arrogant sons of bitches. Thought he was the God's gift to music because he could play solos on his electric keyboard that his brother got sent to him from Japan. It was a Yamaha DX7. I'm telling you this because if you've ever listened to like music from the 80s that's got that electric plink bell piano kind of sounding thing, it's a good example. Somewhere Out There, Peebo Bryson, and forget who it was he duetted with. Doesn't matter. If you can hear those chords in your head that opens the song, that's the Yamaha DX7. That is the sound that I absolutely detest now because it was like in everything. But his brother was in the Navy, shipped it over, and his big thing was, this is so expensive you could never afford something like this. This is more money than you will ever see in your life. And he thought he was the gift to music because he could use that to play jazz solos all the time, anytime he wanted. He couldn't. All he learned how to do was to play up and down pentatonic scales. For anybody that doesn't understand about this, pentatonic scale is a very specific construction of notes and note spacings in a key, and it's 5 notes, hence penta. And all you need to do is to change where your starting pitch is, and you just convert it into however many half steps, whole steps between each note, and you just keep repeating that pattern up and down the keyboard. So all he would do is just play the pentatonic scales all the way up, all the way down, all the way up and down, and you listen to him soloing, and dude, you no. I mean, even with the screaming guitar solos in the 80s of the glam rock bands, at least you could usually figure out what it is that they're going with, even if they're not, like, redoing the melody. No, no, no. Anyway. So, oh, yeah, by the way, Stephanie had also said how very evangelical Christian of him. Yeah, so, yeah, you guys are
Mm-hmm.
totally on the same path on this.
Yeah, just like maggots.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really does come down to how was it always put? If your God is upset with me, let him strike me down or forever hold his peace.
Yep.
The only time where that has ever happened was usually somebody that was trying to piss off Odin or Thor in the middle of a thunderstorm. Oh, wait, they used to have that problem once upon a time ago where churches would get struck by lightning and tops would, you know, disintegrate because, explosive. That's why they put lightning rods on the buildings, and wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Using science to outwit Odin. Imagine that. Nice. Now wait a second. What wasn't that also part of the problem that they ran into with what was it called? Touchdown Jesus?
Yep.
That it got struck by lightning several times and it went up and burned to the ground.
Yep.
Touchdown Jesus is the colloquial term for a construction that somebody had made, a really piss poor looking construction of Jesus with his arms, up to the heavens,
Coming out of a lake, and the lake, yeah, started at like his stomach, but he looked like he was going down.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm choking laughing over here because I'm suddenly remembering that how I thought about it at the time, and I'm just like, it looks like somebody did a paper mache project badly.
Yeah. And I had seen it in person before too.
What was it? Construction 1, 2, or 3? Because if I remember right, it burned like 3 times, and they finally just gave up.
I saw it in the last iteration before it got hit by lightning and burned the last
God
time.
damn it! Oh God.
We were on our way to Dayton and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, it's tacky.
Stephanie,
And I had heard it. Its nickname was Touchdown Jesus from the girl that was riding with me. And after I saw it, I understood.
yeah, because I mean, if the title fits, and
Well, the
it
locals
did,
referred to it as Butter Jesus because it was the color of butter.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
liked Touchdown much better.
yeah. And backtracking just a little bit, Stephanie had also said, "Is it blasphemy if your God is a living human, like the orange one?" Now, before we get exactly to that, wait. Before we get exactly to that, I take you back about a year or so ago to December in New York City. We're into the winter holiday season, and outside of Fox News Studios, their Christmas tree
Yep.
caught fire somehow. And I'm saying somehow because I don't remember what the source was identified as. It could have been quote unquote arson. It could have been bad electrical wiring. I don't know. I don't care. Doesn't matter. But that sucker went up because artificial tree, as I recall.
Hmm.
So it went up quickly, and then there was nothing left for it to continue to feed itself on. So it was like a oh god, some people are going to understand. It was like a flash cube. It went off and then done. Just nothing else to be done about it. Leave me alone. I'm an old man. I remember flash cubes were.
Yep.
Anyway,
Me too. They thought that was the worst
it
travesty ever
was.
to befall them.
It was. They were forgive the pun. They were incensed at what happened. The idea that somebody might have done that to them, that somebody lit it on fire, was instantly the first thing that they were going for, because persecution complex, oh God, Sigmund, no, Sydney, that's the name I was looking for. Sydney would have had a field day with these people. And for anybody that's wondering, who's he talking about? Sydney from MASH, the psychologist, the psychiatrist that showed up every once in a while. Sydney was a great person. He was a great addition every once in a while to stuff. Any case, so is it possible to believe in a living personality as your God at that point? Yeah.
It's happened several times.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, technically it is still happening in a couple of places. North Korea, for one, where the living monarch is relegated as the son of a god and is himself a god who, if I remember right, is rumored to have played 18-hole golf and scored 18 at like the age of 5 or something like that. And all right, now let's see if I remember right. According to tradition, the emperor of Japan was viewed as a living god himself, although I'm not quite sure how to properly word it. They were divine, but they were not themselves a god, so they didn't have full authority to just point in life or death somebody, but they were given that much deference. Pronunciations right now. I don't know if I'm exactly explaining it correctly, but I mean, so sure, yeah, you can believe that somebody is. Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it's true, and it's probably going to be very bad for the person that believes themselves at that point to be, the god, because everybody else thinks that they're a god. That's usually going to end poorly.
Well, I mean, like it did for David Koresh.
Amongst others.
I mean, he said that he was God.
Yeah, he did. And there are a number of others who have said similar things, believed themselves to be, deluded themselves into believing that they were something special. I'm trying to remember where in Africa, if I remember correctly. I don't remember where, but there every once in a while there are news reports of some. It's not the same terminology, but these charismatic preachers in Africa who believe themselves to be infused with godly powers, and to prove it, they will allow themselves to be buried under 6 feet of dirt, and they will emerge proving their abilities and that they are who they say that they are. And there's a news report a couple of days later where the guy just suffocated because it is what it is. Hence the reason why there used to be a wake once upon a time ago, long time ago, in the burials. Put a string on the inside of the tube, so in case somebody gets caught, they can ring the bell because not dead yet.
Yep.
That was actually a real thing. It wasn't like one of those things that was like romanticized and actually like fictionalized.
This was a real thing.
Did it actually? Were there actually occasions where it worked? By the way,
That I don't know.
yeah, I'm trying to remember myself because I would like to say yes, but at the same time, that's a terrifying concept.
I mean, there have been people pronounced dead before that actually weren't.
Well, yeah, I mean Joe for one.
And yeah, that would be really freaky.
Yeah, yeah, we've talked about it before. Joe, part of the reason why Joe isn't with us, week to week right now is because his working time conflicts with being with us. Although, do get to see him, interact with him on Friday nights usually. But I mean, Joe was really mangled up pretty good, and by pretty good I mean he was pronounced, and he kind of woke up screaming and scared the ever living Jesus out of the nurse that pronounced him. Which we've still had the long running joke. If he was pronounced dead at one point, does that mean that he's basically got a free ticket for a capital crime because he's already been killed once? Crap. There was somebody that was put to like the electric chair, and they threw the switch and it didn't work, and they sued on the grounds that the state tried to kill him and they couldn't, but they did. So I mean, he paid his way through. I don't. I got crap. I gotta look that one up for later because now I'm trying to remember that one and I don't remember all of what happened with that one. But back to it though. Is it blasphemy if your God is a living human like the former guy? This one hurts because we've seen in the news reports that there are people who, honest and truly, really buy into the whole he is the second coming.
Yep.
I don't get that. I really don't get that. Because that takes the story of Jesus trying to be kind and helpful. Okay. Some people are going to take exception to the terminology. Don't care. Trying to be kind and differential to a whore versus grabbing by the pussy.
Yeah.
And so that everybody understands, by the way, as far as sex workers are concerned, we don't have a problem with sex workers, generally speaking, on this show. I mean, personally, here in the United States, I wish it were legal. Not for any other reason other than if people want to do that, what's the problem? I mean, really? Humans screw. Newsflash. If they want to spend time with people, I mean, what? And they want to be compensated, they get more than dinner out of it. I mean, what's the problem? Oh, because you can't tax it? Oh. Yeah, there's that could be a problem. But that's just me, Other people have got other ideas about it. So, it's what it is. I got a whole bunch of things running through my head tonight. So I explained to Brigid earlier, and Phyllis knows because I explained also. But yeah, it's a couple things running through my head tonight. So sorry if I'm a little all over the map. Imagine that. If they made it legal, they could tax it. Yes and no. you'd have to become your own independent.
Contractor.
Well, no, self-employed. You would have to be. You would have to be your.
You'd be freelance.
Yeah, you'd be freelance, which means that you'd have to do your own books one way or another. I mean, could conceivably have somebody handle. Wow, man, that would be a great unionization system.
Yeah, but that'll never happen. I mean, you got people here that are trying to ban birth control,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
including condoms.
well, I was about to say there's still the bunny ranch. Last I checked, and the last time I
Yeah,
checked was like never. So,
but a lot of sex workers use condoms
and
to prevent diseases.
rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but if some, people get a wild hair and decide to make condoms illegal, then what? And I could see that happening because there are some states that have gone that far off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they're trying to do away with birth control, there's no way in hell they're going to allow sex work.
No. No, and you're right. And it's another one of those things that sucks because that's still here in the United States, in particular, the puritanical ideology. I wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I think that's not quite the right terminology for it, but it's close enough for the time being. For whatever reason, there is still this prudishness here in the colonies, and I honestly I have no idea why, other than religion.
Mhm.
I mean, Canada, the prudishness, not nearly. Is there some? Yeah, there's some, but at the same time, it Australia. I mean, what you can get away with saying and doing on television in main time on TV over here in the States, generally speaking, no, you wouldn't do stuff like that. You wouldn't get away with saying stuff like that. The occasional breastage on television here in the United States, all I need to say is, oh God, who the hell was it? It was Janet Jackson and
Oh, during the Super Bowl,
yeah, I forgot.
it was Justin Timberlake, I
Yeah,
think.
Justin Timberlake. You're right. At the Super Bowl, and I don't even remember how many years ago that was now. But even to today, there is still, like 10 years
That
later,
was a
whatever the hell it was.
scandal.
It was. And there was no actual nipple shown. There was a shield on top of her areola. I don't know if it was spirited gum on. I don't know if it was pierced through. I don't care. Actually, I slightly care because, God, no, 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 no. I'm not going down that angle. I'm not going down that angle. There's reasons, there's personal reasons. I'm not going down that angle right now. But the problem
But
is,
she
yeah,
had a wardrobe malfunction and
yeah,
put a brick over it.
yeah.
And don't even get into breastfeeding in public, even if you're covered up with a blanket. People lose their shit.
I totally don't understand that one. Stephanie's got two of them over here. Uganda made condoms illegal. AIDS infections went up hugely.
Mhm.
God, I wonder who could have possibly seen that coming.
Mm.
And the other one was, I heard that Australians are glad they got the criminals rather than the Puritans.
They're
Yeah,
better off.
yeah, yeah. they've done well for themselves. I mean, considering the shitstorm that they got historically speaking, for the Brits that ended up over there, they did pretty okay for themselves. I mean, grand scheme of things, societally speaking. Not so great for the indigenous, for the aboriginals, but I mean, when have native folk ever been treated really, really well by the pale skin coming through? And I say that
Never.
as someone who, my families came over once upon a time ago. You know, because Italy. Anyway,
And Italians were subject to discrimination, so were Irish.
yep, the Irish,
Anybody,
the Italians,
anybody that wasn't, pure Aryan,
or already here.
yeah, already here.
Yeah, because even the groups that were here last, and then new starts coming in. Well, we were already here before you. What the hell are you doing coming in here? I mean,
Yep.
and so I'm gonna watch myself because I was gonna start listing all the slurs that were used over all of the
Oh,
years.
don't do that.
No, no, because I've got them all running through my head because I I have tried to take in the historical context of stuff in order to better understand the prevailing mood. It's bad terminology for it, but societally speaking, for different areas, for different times. I mean, there's so many things that the Italians, the Asians, the Spaniards, the Irish, the Chinese, the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, the various different African nations and heritages that were intentional immigrants. And every time there's been a new wave, everybody gets all up in there. It's not the same neighborhood, is what I agree. It's not going to be the same neighborhood. It's going to be better. You don't know what falafel is? Congratulations, you're about to learn. No, it doesn't matter that your favorite pizzeria is gone. Don't worry about it, because there's something new. You can always make your own. Anyway, Stephanie's pointing out the Spanish word in the U.S. long before the U.S. was created. I know. So were the French. Of course, some of the French were, kicked out of Canada because but a whole other piece. Blasphemy is important. Like I was saying at the top of it all, blasphemy is a way for us to question. And I don't remember who it was that said it, but I think it was Stephen Fry, who probably borrowed it from somebody else. And I don't really remember who it was that actually said it probably. Anyway, it was, I would much rather have questions I cannot answer versus answers that I cannot question. Actually, that may have been Feynman. You know what? Doesn't matter. It still links true.
Mm-hmm.
It's good that we can question anything and everything. We should question everything and anything. You start to come up with some really interesting ideas when you deal with that. As an example, there is, I forget who it was, but some creationist who's done all kinds of things. It could be B. I don't remember who the hell it was. Had suggested the possibility that perhaps the speed of light is not the way that we think of it. Maybe it's not 186,000 miles per second. I know, miles. It's the only one that I have ever remembered. Leave me alone. Maybe it's not exactly that. Maybe it is whatever speed in one direction, but instantaneous on the return. So the measurement to the moon by the laser bounce coming back to us, which, by the way, yes, there is a laser reflector up there at the Apollo 12, I think, landing site. So we can very, 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 very accurately measure the distance between the observatory that's got the laser ranger and the moon to like percentages of a millimeter, and suggested that maybe the speed of light is instantaneous on the return trip, but at a very specific speed on the way out. Okay. I don't know how you prove that. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can disprove it. It makes for an interesting question. But it's still not functionally helpful. But it makes for an interesting question. Because it's not just the question of, are you right or are you wrong? Or is it something else entirely? Or somewhere in the middle? Because there's plenty of possibilities to go around. The question now becomes, if that is the way that things actually operate, what else is there in the universe that we've assumed just continues to operate the same way in every direction, instead of operates at one speed in one direction and a different one in the opposite? Let's test it all.
I don't even know how you would do that.
Functionally speaking, I don't know that it is even possible to do currently. Now that's a great thing about being able to question everything, because sooner or later you start to learn how to do better questions and to do better tests. Is it possible to be able to test for this? I don't know. I don't think so. But I'll give him this. It makes for an interesting, currently philosophical question. But good luck trying to prove that, man. Oh God, Stephanie, was that a cat?
Yes.
Okay. I was afraid that you started to yell something and very quickly muted yourself because I only caught the very little bit of.
No, she's yelling about something and probably doesn't even know why she's yelling, but she's getting seen. Oh.
It's a cat.
Well,
Stephanie.
she's old. She's 18.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of up there.
And she's deaf too.
Oh. Stephanie had also said, Hull, you could drive an 18-wheeler through. The whole light speed is one speed going out, but instantaneous coming back. People were measuring the distance to the moon long before the laser reflector was installed. Yeah, I know. But the ability of being able to say, yeah, the moon's real, also kind of helps with, having that laser reflector, because you move the laser off just a little bit. It's amazing. The margin of error is just so small. I love that idea. But then again, I've always been fascinated with lasers, so It's me. They were born about the same time as I was, so I think lasers have aged a lot better than I have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that you've aged badly, but lasers are cool.
Lasers are very cool. Now, you actually hit on something. It it's not exactly on the blasphemy thing, but again, part of the questioning of stuff. Using lasers in order to cool down substances. Compressed, I forget exactly what it was that they were using, but they found a way of using specifically tuned lasers to pump energy into specific clumps that they're trying to like super chill. But you would think adding energy adds heat, but they found a way of adding that energy so that whatever it is that they were pumping into, it makes the one atom or several atoms that are of like a higher energy state absorb that a little bit of extra energy, but then have to release it, which then shoots it out because it was a little bit hotter, because, reaction, leaving behind a colder sample in the aggregate. So again, being able to question, well, what could we do with this thing? It's freaking outrageous. And that's why the whole, what can we do with the God thing becomes a fun question for me. Because one of the answers is we can use it as a lightning rod. So go touchdown, Jesus. Thank you, man.
Or, we could all follow the flying spaghetti monster.
We could.
May be touched by his noodly appendage.
And that would be called a No. I'm gonna type it. I'm gonna type it for us.
Uh-oh.
That's what that's called. And that's why I'm not saying it. Because that is an entire rabbit hole we're not going down right now. Not doing it.
That's probably a good idea.
Trust me, folks, if you really want to find out, you can always ask. Please ask, because we really like to be interacting with you folks. But yeah, what do we do with situations like this where we do have someone who has been elevated to the stature of living godling through no fault of their own, so to speak, even though all the indicators are there that this guy shouldn't be, no. Drives me up a wall trying to, hearing these interviews on YouTube of people that end up going to these rallies.
Yeah, and thinking, this whole thing about, divinely anointed and appointed by God, and I'm like, no.
There's another piece on that one too. Why is it? And this is not a rhetorical. Why is it every time there's an election, the evangelicals are always saying that the one that people should be voting for is the one who is appointed by God to be heading the country. When their guy is in, you should be standing behind, you should be praying for the president, not our president, the president. But then when not the guy that they were wanting, all of a sudden it's no longer God selected them to be taking care of the country, and it's not we should be praying for the president for enlightenment or anything like that. It's, well, we need to get people to get this person. It's like, can't your God just go ahead and just, change everybody's hearts? Did it with one guy already, according to everything.
Oh, when it was Obama, they did the whole imprecatory prayer thing, and that's really disgusting. I mean, to me.
I'm not going to go down that entire rabbit hole because I've done it partly before, and I don't want to get anybody really truly pissed off. But they
That's a disgusting concept to me.
they went through the whole thing religiously of just claiming so many things that were either disgusting, outright lies, both, or inconsequential. He's a secret Muslim. So what if he is? He's not, but so what if he is? I mean, they kind of did the similar with JFK. And JFK, youngest American in history to date to be president, and we should have that more often, went ahead and told people, I am not an extension of the Pope. I'm the president of these United States. That's my job. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to be running anything for the Pope. I'm too busy. Probably paraphrasing that last part, but And part of it was because he was Roman Catholic instead of Baptist. Trust me, here in the United States, that was a major upheaval.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was a major upheaval. And there are people who still don't understand. You don't have to be any religion to be part of the government. It says so right there in the Constitution. Thank you very much.
They don't read the Constitution. The only thing they care about is the Second Amendment.
They don't even think about the Third Amendment, for Christ's sake.
No, they don't. But then you have dumbasses, if I'm allowed to say dumbass, like, Laura Boebert, that says that the Constitution is not a living, breathing document and can't be changed. And it's like, what the hell do you think an amendment is?
It'd be really funny. It'd be really funny if somebody were to go ahead and just get a big poster board and just get one of those giant mega Sharpies to write on it 19th Amendment and just stick it right in her face. No, wait, that might not be such a good choice.
She needs that because she didn't even know what it was.
The 19th?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that last week. Shh.
Yeah, she was debating whoever her opponent is, and she thought it was related to abortion.
Yeah, Stephanie's also pointed out, correctly so, only part of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, but they think that that's the end-all be-all to anything in the Constitution.
Yeah. Yeah,
and hell with everything else.
And all because of the lack of a comma.
Yep.
Anybody wants to ask about that sometime, feel free to write me and ask me about it, because I'd be more than happy to explain about it. Or look it up. I'm sure there are other podcasts or other legal eagles that have already gone through the whole thing about the Second Amendment. And, if not for the lack of a comma, we might not have this problem the same way that we do now.
It's just getting worse. I mean, seeing people run on slogans like God, guns, and Jesus. Or is it God's, what was it, guns?
God,
Guns, baby,
God
guns,
guns,
Jesus, and babies.
God guns baby country. Something like that. You basically got it right. And you're right. It's disgusting. It's disgusting because for us, we think of it in the terms of what is the job of government? It's to help the enjoined society prosper when all is said and done. That's what government is supposed to do at its barest bones. And if your slogan, if your list of your priorities starts off with God, you've absolutely lost the train right there. You've absolutely lost the train right there. And again, there are plenty of other people who've explained exactly why, but the most basic part of it is, how can you be dealing with reality if your first priority has nothing to do with reality? We've said it how many times that, in some cases people were taught wrong and we shouldn't be upset about it, but at the same time, it's the age of information, man. It's kind of hard to give people a pass at this point when they could figure it out their own damn selves. I mean, I think the best story that I still remember was Professor Stephen saying that he went from being a really heavy duty religious boy to an atheist in the span of reading a couple of pages out of a book while he was in the bathroom. And it's true. It's 100% true. It worked out. It worked out well for him. Oh God. But blasphemy, blasphemy is a good piece for change. Oh yeah, because we've got a little less than 20 minutes.